taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today we are going to take a look at two battles. The first one we're looking at is in the Kirov. Yeah, I almost called it Kiev. Kirov. And the second one is going to be in the Roon. Now, story behind these videos is just simply yesterday, for whatever reason, I had woken up really early. Don't know why, but I decided it was an excellent opportunity to play some loud music and rock out with some ships. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully the music is in the background and it can be heard and not too overpowering. But that's essentially what was going on. As well, one little thing here before we get too far into it. At one point in this replay, you'll notice that it stops and jumps ahead a little. This is simply because I had Alt-tabbed out of the game to switch music. Yes. Anyway. In the Kiev, God. In the Kiev, and we are on north. Fault line. Jesus, Thotgor. Anyway. In the Kirov, and I mean, I'm getting more used to the ship, actually. Starting to understand it a little more and learn how to use the slower reload time to my advantage in some instances, but more importantly, being able to use the slow reload time and maneuvers to ensure that, you know, I take a few hits, but nothing that's actually going to kill me. That's always the biggest, you know, hope here when you're in your Kiev. Now, Kirov, God, I'm going to be doing that this whole replay, so prepare yourselves now. Anyway, so my original plan was to go in to B, go towards B, strafe along B, and move my way over to A. That was my plan. That was what I was thinking my allies were going to do, right? Based on where we spawn. But we look at the mini-map and we notice that most of my allies are actually headed over towards the east. So cool, I'm now going to the east. This is exactly what I had talked about in our previous ship video, you know, abandoning all of your plans right at the beginning of the map if the team isn't going the direction you had wanted to, right? So I wanted to go to the west. Nope, my team is going to the east, so my plans immediately changed, and now I'm going to the east. So over here on the east, my plan now is going to be trying to get into C, right? I don't want to go too far up that channel where C is, because it's really early in the game. We have 3 enemy destroyers. I don't know where they are. I suspect at least one is going to be over here at C, so I'm not going to go in there and get real close to these enemy destroyers and hope that they you know, don't kill me and that I kill them. I'm going to try and keep my distance in C. I might not even get into the cap to even cap it, but I'm just going to be providing some sort of fire support for my allies who are trying to take C. So we can see that some of the enemies over at C are starting to pop up. The first one that popped up was a Cleveland. Now I'm spotted, obviously, right? So there's a destroyer in and around B, I believe, and I was trying to look out for him, keep an eye out for torpedoes until I got over here at C, because obviously I don't want to die before I get here. So we do see a Cleveland, we see a Phoenix, so okay, that's not too bad. Another Phoenix pops up. Yeah, I have armor piercing loaded up, and I switched over to armor piercing from my high explosive because, I mean, the Kirov has some good, powerful guns on her at this tier, and I'm pretty close to these guys, so if I can just, you know, fire off my armor piercing, get some nice broadsides, I mean, that wasn't too bad there. I'm going to be able to take down these ships fairly quickly and help out my team in the process as well, right? Because I have a Cleveland with me as well. There's there's an Oba there as well, and we have a destroyer, so we're doing pretty good. Now we see a destroyer popping up through the channel there at C on the minimap, so we need to keep him in mind. Got a nice salvo off at the Phoenix there. That was a few Citadels. It's not surprising to get so many Citadels on a Phoenix or an Omaha. I mean, 4 Citadels and 1 salvo, yeah, that's pretty common. So we get another Citadel and do a bit more damage. One of my allies finishes off the enemy ship, so fantastic. We only have this 1 Phoenix remaining and the destroyer that's pushing up through the channel. So we pretty much have C now. We're pretty good to go. You'll notice, you can see the destroyer there, but you'll notice that one of my destroyers, right, is all over that crap. And my destroyer is about to show the enemy destroyer why you shouldn't linger around in a narrow little channel. Seems fairly common, seems fairly obvious, but you'd be surprised. I think it's I don't know what destroyer it is that we have, my friendly destroyer that's attacking that destroyer over there, but yeah, it's going well, so that's not too bad. So we've capped C. My allies who are in C are pushing beyond C, right? They're probably going to circle around, maybe come into B. I'm not going to continue with them. I'm actually going to try and get myself over into B, because I figured it would be faster, where I didn't push all the way up through the channel like my allies, just for me to turn around and make a course, and set my course for B. Now, we do see some enemy destroyers off in the distance. Unfortunately for this player, he has grounded himself, or herself, and is paying the ultimate price for that, right? My team is not going to let this destroyer get away, and there he goes. Destroyer is gone. Fantastic. Only one enemy destroyer remaining, so that's not too shabby at all. We do see more enemy ships coming up, right? The enemy ships have realized that we're not really heavy over there on the west at all. In fact, we don't have any ships over there whatsoever. Where we are heavy is over here on the east. Now, this was unfortunate. Ah, damn it. I really didn't want to take that torpedo. I've actually been pretty crappy with dodging torpedoes as of late. I don't know what is going through my mind, but I see them coming in. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go around this torpedo. Everything is going to be fine. Oh god, the torpedo hit me. I don't know. It's probably just my own incompetence, but whatever. Enemy Warspite off in the distance. So high explosive is loaded, obviously. The Warspite is a hard target for a tier 6 battleship. She has a lot of armor, and my biggest hope that I can do against the Warspite, especially at this distance, is going to be to set her on fire, right? Just set her on fire as much as I possibly can. The Warspite's moving out of my shot, right, because the island's in the background there, but I do see another enemy battleship out there, so I'd put a few shots into that guy as well, just to see if I can't set another fire. Maybe burn the target down a little for my team here, right? Coming around the island, and you can see as well that I'm now sort of making my turn and my push into B. While I'm doing this, I'm obviously continuing to fire on the enemy battleships in the distance, but I'm keeping aware of the enemy ships that are also making their way into B, right? We do see at least one cruiser that is attempting to make its way into B, so we're going to have to do something about this target once we get into a position where we can actually start engaging him, right? And in fact, you can see some of my allies are engaging the target already, so that's pretty fantastic. So one of the enemy battleships just went down. My allies finished him off, so fantastic. We really only have to worry about this Warspite off in the distance. Just as we caught a quick glimpse, we can see it back in the distance there as well, the enemy ship's sinking, right? Just wanted to also mention these new sinking graphics or animations that are going on in the game since the new patch. I think this is fantastic. I am very satisfied with the way that the ships are now sinking, and I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to seeing more improvements to this, maybe more different sort of sinking animations being added, but where it is right now, I think this is an excellent place to sort of improve from here. I mean, I was talking to some of the people in Club Wargaming about this, and we were fairly excited about it, because essentially what it does now is you have little mini temporary islands in the game now that you can use as cover from torpedoes, maybe from some enemy shots, maybe prevent a ramming going on, right? So it's actually really nice to see, and it just, for me, it makes it a little more immersive, because it just seems a little more realistic, right? The ship just doesn't sink and gone. It actually floats there for a little while as a hulk, and provides a sort of obstacle, so it's very nice. One of my allies just got a really nice hit there on that enemy destroyer and just obliterated that enemy destroyer, so kudos to you, player. That was really awesome. Anyway, we are now pushing into B, right? You can see we're getting closer to B. We've got a Kuma here, friendly Kuma off to the starboard side. He's on fire and in a bad way, so we're going to try and get ourselves into position here to take some shots for this Kuma. Hopefully the Kuma is going to be able to survive, and this player and I will be able to get into B and start capping B. In the meantime, again, using the good range of the Kirov here at tier 5, just continue to engage the enemy ships in the background, right? The enemy battleships back there. Now this was I mean, at this point in time of the battle, right, you know we're going to win. It's obvious. I mean, good teamwork here going on, right? But again, we see the mistake that a lot of Battleship players make, is they are running away, and by running away they are taking themselves out of the battles. Look at the two battleships back there, where they are way up there in the north. There isn't a whole lot that those ships are going to be able to accomplish in terms of, you know, even providing some sort of fighting defense, just to go down, you know, fighting, because the enemy team is going to lose, but there's nothing that they can accomplish back there. And this is a big mistake that a lot of battleship captains make, and it's good when it happens, like when the enemy team is, you know, their battleships are doing it. It's good when it happens like that, but when you are on the team of the same team that those enemy battleships, or that those battleships are on, it sucks. It sucks, because you need those battleships. Anyway, enemy cruiser popped up, so it's a German cruiser, and I was terrified of this guy, because I know that this cruiser is amazing, and that the cruiser has really fast reload. So I'm immediately trying to get myself out of this situation, get in behind some cover. I don't have the hit points to be able to sustain a running firefight here. So I launch off my torpedoes, 4-kilometer range on these torpedoes, I believe, 5-kilometer range, I'll say, on these torpedoes, and they were good. There we go. We hit the enemy cruiser and sink him, and he's gone. Fantastic. We're now capping B, and the only 2 ships remaining are the enemy battleships. So once again, there's nothing that they can do to win. Not at this point in time. I mean, to rub salt in the wound here as well, the enemy battleships that are remaining are American battleships, and they are painfully slow. I mean, this is a trait of the American battleships right up until you get to the North Carolina, I believe. You are a slow-moving target. It will take you time to get places on the map. So there is just utterly no point in hiding back here at the back like this. Even in this situation, I mean, they're obviously going to lose. If it was me, I'd be sailing straight towards the enemies, going down fighting. That's just my own personality, I guess you could say, when I'm playing the game. I'm not going to cower in the back. I'd rather die with my guns blazing than, you know, survive in some corner at the end of the battle. I just don't see it being proper. But anyway, my opinion of how these enemy ships should die doesn't really matter. We're just going to chase them down now and run out the clock, right? Once one of our allies gets a kill here on one of these enemy battleships, that's probably going to be enough to do it for us here. So we're just going to chase down these enemy battleships, but it's important to note, I mean, at this point in the battle, because it sucks when it happens, you know, your team is obviously going to win, you're on fairly low hit points, and there's only a few enemy ships remaining, and you're chasing them down. This is an excellent opportunity to sort of stop yourself and to say to yourself, well, I made it this far, I probably don't want to die, right? Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I do not want to die. We can see my Kuma friend did survive. He's there in front of me. Very low health, in fact, lower than my health. We do have some enemy shots coming in, but luckily they all missed. We set another fire to that enemy battleship, so fantastic. He was on really low health, so maybe that enemy battleship will actually burn to death and we'll win. But you can see again, right, I'm not going to be turning and giving broadsides to these enemy ships. It is fairly risky what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is essentially sailing straight at them to present as small of a target as possible, right? The Kirov's main guns here. You've got 2 turrets on the bow, so it makes sense to go bow on into targets from time to time. The New York off in the distance luckily isn't concerned with me, is actually focused on some of my allies who are much more of a threat at this point in time. We see the New Mexico come out from the cover here, very low health, so if we can just get these final shots into this New Mexico here, we might actually be able to take the ship down. There we go, fantastic. New Mexico's gone, that's my 3rd kill, so that's not too bad at all. Now we just have to deal with the enemy New York. Once again though, gonna play cautiously, right? I'm gonna just keep in mind is where the enemy turrets are pointed. If they're pointed at me, I need to turn away. I don't have the hit points to be able to survive an engagement with this New York. Like one shell hit from that New York, one well-placed shell hit will take me down without question. So I'm just going to try and continue to stay in the background, but put some shots into this New York, not make myself the center of attention for the New York, right? Which is pretty easy to do considering the New York had an enemy battleship right in front of them. Anyway, that is the end of the battle. We have won. So we'll take a look at the final results here, so not too bad. three kills. I got a number of citadels, flooding from the torpedo hit, right? We walk away with credits and money, and obviously because the event is going on this weekend, I get a few flags and a bit of commander experience. So second overall in the team, which wasn't too bad at all. Did a bit of damage here, right? It's probably over 50,000. Maybe over 60,000, but not too bad at all. And again, credits and money. That was the biggest thing for me to walk away with, as always, because, I want my Hindenburg. I want my Hindenburg real bad. So we're moving into the second clip now. We are in the Roon. We are on Shattered. Is this a new picture for Shatter? I think it is. It might not be. I'm not sure. Maybe it just looks crisper. I don't know. But we're on Shatter now. Shatter does have some of the basic weather add-ons to it. You can see some snow falling here, right, hitting the screen. This is lovely. I think this is great. I'd actually prefer it if the snow would just be persistent throughout the entire battle as opposed to just on the fringes of the map here, but still, nice touch. I enjoy it. Now, just to briefly talk about the music here as well, new battle, new music, because time had passed along, so I'm listening to Louis Prima. I know I've put Louis Prima up on the channel before, but I'm just such a huge fan of him, and I love his music so much. If you didn't know, if any of you recall the movie The Jungle Book, right, by Walt Disney, yeah. Now I'm talking the original Jungle Book, the animation, right? I'm a little old here, so I'm not talking about this new remake and crap. I'm talking about the original one. On VHS, by the way. Anyway, the Jungle Book, yeah, so the part in the Jungle Book, do you remember the orangutan, right? The orangutan, the actor who played the voice for the orangutan was Louis Prima. The song that the orangutan sings, I think it was To Be Just Like You, that song was performed by Louis Prima and his band. And the part in the movie where the orangutan and his little monkey friends are sort of walking around a little chain, or like a little train, right, tooting their trumpets in the air, that was actually because incorporated into the movie because Louis Prima and his band, they're fairly eccentric. If you've seen any of their music videos now, they were famous back in the 50s, right? So music videos are going to be in black and white, and they're far and few between. But if you have seen any of them, you will see the eccentricity of Louis Prima and his band. And while they were performing the song To Be Just Like You, they were walking around in a little train, dancing, and that's where the creators or the animators for Jungle Book got the idea to have the orangutan leading the little train of monkeys with their trumpets. Anyway, a little bit of music history there for you. Moving into the battle, we can see first of all that I have a pink aircraft carrier. So, I thought that this was going to go bad. Normally when I see a pink player, I don't want to sully all pink players, because there's definitely accidents that happen, and I understand that. But generally when I see a pink player, it's because that player probably did some pretty shady things a few battles ago, like kill some allies, probably intentionally, probably because he or she wasn't happy with the way the battle was unfolding. So I was fairly concerned about this. I was thinking to myself, oh great, we only really have one aircraft carrier, in fact, because the second aircraft carrier, who is pink, will probably just stick his thumb up his ass the whole battle, maybe bitch and chat the whole time. That didn't happen though, much to my surprise, didn't happen. So potentially this pink aircraft carrier was one of those innocent victims of green on green fire, and is now just trying to get him or herself out of the pink. So totally understandable, I guess, without having to know, a whole lot about the backstory about how that person got pink, but I'll give the player the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, so on Shatter, and I'm coming here over to the east, right over to the A point, because this is where the majority of my ships were, and this is where I wanted to be. I didn't want to get myself into a situation where I'd be on the west with only a few ships, ally ships in support, and have to face off against a number of enemy ships and potentially die, so that's why I came over here to the west. Now, we caught a glimpse of a Zhao, there he is there, capping the B point. So I was thinking to myself, well, I could probably get in there and do a bit of damage to that Zhao. The Zhao is a huge threat, but with the rate of fire on this Roon and the AP damage that I know that it's capable of, I figured I could probably get the Zhao down pretty quickly. Now the Zhao didn't stick around in B, right? Obviously continued to steam through B and is now in fact behind some cover. But as I'm making my way to B and sort of getting myself set up to do the strafing run here in B, we do see other enemy ships start to pop up who are in and around B, and more importantly within my range. So there we go, we've got an American cruiser that we're going to start engaging here. We see another American cruiser in the background as well, and a battleship. So yeah, there's a few things out there. So we're going to start putting shots into whatever we can, just trying to get some damage done to these guys. Right, here's a Baltimore, trying to be fairly sneaky, getting in here into B, but I'm not going to have any of that. Not at all. I'm curious to know as well, with the new changes to the patch, if anyone has noticed their turrets not exploding as often, which is pretty great. I haven't personally noticed it myself because I never found it to be that big of an issue with my cruisers anyway. With my destroyers definitely, but with my cruisers not so much, and it might be, you know, the cruisers that I'm playing. But what I do find, and it might just be that I'm misinterpreting it or just noticing it now because they made changes, but I do find that I'm knocking out quite a few turrets here in my battles. Enemy turrets, that is. Maybe I'm just paying attention to it now because it's changed. I don't know. But anyway, we are still going to try and do something about the enemy ships who are in and around B. So now I'm not willing to go all the way into B, right? I know that this is shattered and we can really use the islands to our advantage, but I just felt that it'd be too close to the enemy ships if I went all the way into B. So instead I'm going to circle in around back of B. I'm still using the islands as cover as I'm getting myself into position, and the benefit here as well is that I'm getting a glimpse of some of the enemy ships that are in the background, right? And I'm not just throwing myself out there and waiting for those enemy ships in the background to start firing at me. No, by using the cover and moving up a little slowly like I have been, and cautiously as well, you know, I'm just making sure that anything in the background that might be reloading, hopefully he's going to have to take a shot off here, and then I'd spot that player. Anyway, we do have the American cruiser here in front of us, so I'm immediately obviously just going to start pumping the high explosive into that guy. One of my friendly ships there got a devastating strike on that enemy cruiser, and that cruiser is gone. That was pretty great. I was pretty surprised when I saw it. I didn't expect it to happen. Anyway, we see another enemy cruiser, a Des Moines here, right? Craftfully using the cover to put shots into me, right? Firing over the island here, trying to limit the amount of shots that I'm going to be able to put into this player. This player doesn't know what is about to happen. So, I mean, I'm not just going to, you know, continue to sail broadside to the Des Moines here and let them fire at me. It's a Des Moines. It has amazing rate of fire, right? And I know that if this player wanted to, he could really set me on fire and burn me down, or conversely put some quick armor-piercing shots into my side and take me out. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try, and much like the Des Moines is using the island there in front of him to shoot over and to get shots into me, I'm going to use the island as cover and close the distance to this Des Moines. Yes. Fairly risky. I'm not gonna lie, I was rocking out to the music and not necessarily thinking about strategy too much. It was more like, nah, just get in there and, you know, kill basically, right? So yeah, it was risky, but it does work out quite well for me. So continue to put shots into the American cruiser. Maybe this is the Baltimore and the Des Moines is the one that died. Whatever, doesn't matter. I got a nice Citadel hit on the American cruiser there. It was a bow Citadel, so I was fairly surprised with this. I finally managed to close the range enough that I'm able to get my torpedoes off. So torpedoes are away. We're pumping shots into the enemy cruiser, and then there we go, 2 Citadels. And just before I got those 2 Citadels, one of my allies' salvos went in and did a bunch of damage to that American cruiser as well. So the American cruiser's gone. My torpedoes aren't even going to hit it. Gone. Don't have to worry about it. So fantastic. There's New Orleans. We're going to try and put some shots into this guy, see if we can't get him killed. Yeah, one of my allies got the kill. Fantastic. We do have this American battleship. I believe it's in Iowa. You know, moving in on C here, contesting it. So I'm going to get myself into a position to do something about this Iowa here. In the meantime, I don't have to worry about capping B because I have a friendly destroyer or a friendly ship already in B capping it, so that's fantastic. And you can see as well that basically at this point in time in the battle, my team owns the west side. I know that there's an enemy Iowa right here in front of us, right, that we're shooting at. But this is basically the last enemy ship that is within our firing distance, or at least, you know, our immediate concern. The last one. Over on the east, there are still a number of enemy ships over there that my allies are dealing with. So there we go. The Iowa is gone, and you can see as well. I mean, at the range when you're close in, and well, you don't even have to be close in. The Roon can do amazing damage to American battleships, really to any battleship, to be honest with you. But the American battleships, there's something about them. They have a really flat side, and it's higher up in the waterline than. I'm thinking specifically of an Amagi. I guess the Izumo and the Yamato probably have really flat sides with high above the waterline too. But anyway, I was thinking of the Amagi. But though, I'm just surprised at the amount of damage, I guess, that my Roon can pull off against battleships. It's quite surprising with the armor piercing. So I know we've said it before, but if you haven't done it already, you need to get yourself a Roon. For the love of God, just get a Roon. Here we can see some of the sinking graphics that are going on, right? I was just taking a look at it. It's just so cool, I think, to see the ship like sort of slowly sink, capsize. You can see then the bottom of the ship and the propeller still turning. Pretty awesome. Alright, so we do have some enemy ships here in front of us. We can see 2 enemy aircraft carriers, and we do see an enemy Montana as well. So, alright. I wasn't willing to just charge out there and start firing at these enemy aircraft carriers, right? Not willing to do it because of the enemy Montana. I really did not want to die at this point in time. Again, another one of those situations. We have all 3 caps. We are clearly going to win this battle. I don't want to die. I don't want to be that player who dies 2 minutes before victory, right? I just don't want that to happen. So I'm going to try and play this a little cautiously here. So we do see that the enemy Montana is a fair distance away. We actually have an enemy cruiser that's a little closer to us. There he is there. So yeah, we might be able to line up in that New Orleans. But the New Orleans, it wasn't really presenting me a good target. I still see the enemy aircraft carrier. In fact, the enemy aircraft carrier is within my range here. So yeah, we'll put a few shots into this guy. Maybe get a lucky citadel. I don't know. In fact, I think the shot actually misses, but whatever. So put a few shots into that enemy aircraft carrier. I hit him with 1. That's not too bad. But the enemy aircraft carrier pops out of sight, right? And now basically I find myself sailing in a straight line towards the Montana. I'm looking at the Montana, look at his turrets, right? We can see that the Montana obviously is aware of me at this point in time. The player is turning, lining up all of his turrets to try and get a nice shot on me. My only saving grace in all of this is the little island I have in front of me. Yes, I need to use this island as much as possible if I want to survive. So basically I'm slowing my ship down, right? I'm not going full speed. I'm just kind of getting myself into position behind this island so that the enemy Montana cannot fire at me without hitting the island. And this is a bit of a stare down, right? I'm watching his turrets. I can see that his turrets are moving away. They're no longer pointed at me. I was waiting for him to fire, waiting for him to fire. Nope, enemy turrets are now pointed at me, but it's too late. I'm coming out from behind the island, so I'm going to throw my ship into a reverse so that it'll only be my bow that is really sticking out, and that the Montana will be able to fire at. The Montana still hasn't fired. I'm thinking, oh god, and then there we go. We can see the Montana's shots coming in. They do a bit of damage, but a whole lot less than what I was expecting, thanks to the island. Once the Montana, or rather now that the Montana has fired, I need to bring my ship up to full speed and get the hell out of here. Just get out. Because I can't stay behind that island, right, with the Montana that close to me, but luckily, turns out in my favor, enemy Montana doesn't matter because we win. So not too shabby at all, 6,800 experience. We did some damage here, some citadels. I'm top of the team overall, which was pretty surprising. I didn't think I was going to be getting that many points. About 55,000 damage done. So definitely the Roon is capable of a whole lot more damage, but I wasn't playing too aggressively in this battle. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, be sure to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those, responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.